We are anticipating a bit of haze over the inland northwest due to wildfire smoke from California being pushed back into the inland northwest. Nearly 30 fires still burning throughout the Sunshine State. However, things still look clear here tonight. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Mark Hanrahan.
Welcome everyone. I'm Whitney Ward. We want to get right to our top story tonight. The case of a Spokane woman murdered in 1986 has now been reignited. The same suspect who faced charges years ago is back in a courtroom accused of the same crime, the murder of Ruby Doss. That suspect is also a former Pasco police officer. Investigators say Richard Aguirre's DNA was found at the scene of the crime. Prosecutors had to follow that. They tried to prosecute the case earlier before, but they eventually had to drop the charges completely.
So the new murder charge was filed earlier this month, and some of the details we do want to warn you in this case are graphic. KREM 2's Amanda Rowley shares what happened between the murder back in 1986 and that court hearing today.
In 1986, this Spokane woman was found dead near the old Playfair racetrack on East Ferry. Investigators identified the woman as 27-year-old Ruby Doss. According to Spokane County court documents, her boyfriend at the time said they were homeless and she was supporting them through prostitution. Records show Doss suffered blunt force trauma to her head and neck. An autopsy determined she died of strangulation. At the time, DNA was tested, but there were no matches. But exactly 29 years after the day she died, police matched DNA found at the scene to Richard Aguirre, a Pasco police officer on administrative leave. Aguirre was facing separate accusations of sexual assault. He resigned after the murder allegations surfaced. In June 2015, Spokane police arrested Aguirre for Doss's murder. According to court records, a longtime friend of Aguirre's said Aguirre admitted to him he hit a woman in the head and choked her. Aguirre told him when he walked away he thought she was still moving. Investigators found Aguirre was in the U.S. Air Force and stationed at Fairchild Air Force Base at the time of Doss's murder. By 2017, a judge dismissed the murder charge due to lack of evidence, and he was found not guilty in the sexual assault allegations from his time as a police officer.
You're here on one count of murder in the first degree. Did you wish to enter a not guilty plea to that charge today?
But today, Aguirre returned to Spokane County Court for new murder charges in Doss's death. Aguirre pleaded not guilty. His lawyer, John Brown, says it is not clear why prosecutors have refiled the first-degree murder charge.
2020 cause number is the exact same certificate of probable cause they filed in 2015. So if they didn't have evidence to support this case in December of 2017, why do they now?
Brown says he has evidence that clears Aguirre, but it is from the first time he faced the charges.
I have a certified copy of the United States Air Force records that showed Mr. Aguirre was in Korea at the time of the victim's death. That original certified copy was in the court file, which we've now been told that the court file has been destroyed.
Aguirre remains out of jail with release conditions. He will return to court October 12th. Trial is set for October 26th. Amanda Rowley, KREM 2 News.
In other local headlines tonight, two brothers were arrested after police say they broke into a South Hill home and stole a Tesla along with the owner's wallet and laptop.
That's according to police who responded to the burglary this morning. And on his way there, the officer received a report of a vehicle blocking the road. The caller gave the plate number to Crime Check, which showed the car was registered to the burglary victim as missing a Tesla.
Officers saw two men walking away from the missing Tesla. They were identified as 34-year-old Dennis Sprayberry and 21-year-old Elijah Sprayberry. Witnesses identified Elijah as the man seen sitting in the passenger seat of that Tesla. Meantime, officers found a Tesla key card in Dennis's possession while trying to remove a knife from his pants pocket. Both of the brothers were arrested, although initially Dennis told officers he didn't know the identity of the other man. Both men are convicted felons. That's according to Spokane police. New at 5 tonight, a 15-year-old girl admitted to investigators that she attempted to burn down her home with her family still inside. She said she was, quote, sorry. The fire began at around 4 a.m. Monday in Spokane Valley. Deputies on scene found 4 adults had safely escaped the fire, but the 15-year-old was unaccounted for. Court documents show the girl's father said he thinks his daughter tried to kill them and that she started the fire. He is currently in the ICU at Sacred Heart with burns on his legs. The teen was charged with 4 counts of attempted first-degree murder and first-degree arson.
To tracking the coronavirus now, another employee at the Spokane Veterans Home has been diagnosed with COVID-19. They're now in self-isolation at home. Officials say this latest employee was asymptomatic, and their positive diagnosis was only discovered through routine testing of all staff members. That makes a total of 3 positive employees. Residents at the Spokane Veterans Home will continue to be tested every 3 to 7 days.
Let's talk weather. As we mentioned earlier, hazy skies, where we were expecting them at least to make a return to the inland northwest.
Well, we got some good news in that regard because Thomas is saying it's not nearly as hazy as we thought it might be.
Yeah, and all that haze really got held up by the Cascades. So if you look at some of the images out of Seattle and western Washington, they are experiencing the hazy and smoky skies. Us, on the other hand, we are not. In fact, it's been pretty blue all day long. Maybe just a little bit of haze if you look straight towards the west, towards the horizon. But otherwise, it's been an awesome day today weather-wise. In fact, right now, it is 80 degrees as of 5 o'clock. I mean, it's hardly 80 on the final day of September, so it is very much warm out there. Plenty of 80s on the map right now, including out of Ritzville, Moses Lake, Pullman, and even Lewiston. Some of those areas you might expect to be in the 80s, especially if Spokane's hitting 80 degrees. So, yeah, not much to write home about weather-wise. You can't necessarily see some of the wildfire haze over western Washington just based on this satellite imagery, but that cloud cover over the Pacific is going to stay well away from us. We are just sitting under that influence of the high pressure area, and it will stay warm and near 80 degrees for at least a few, if not several days to come, and that could actually push us close to record highs for this upcoming weekend. So coming up, going to show you just how close we'll get to that mark and just how much longer we can keep this dry and warm stretch in the area.
All right, Thomas, thank you. Spokane Public Schools moving forward on a decision to bring its youngest students back into the classroom for in-person learning.
So what exactly will that look like in the coming weeks? Well, the district held a Q&A session last night, so here's what we know. Starting next Wednesday, October 7th, kindergartners will be split into 2 groups. Each group will attend in-person classes 2 days a week. The school district will provide some guided instruction on those other days the kids are not in school, but has not yet defined what exactly that will look like. Then on October 19th, all kindergartners will be back for in-person learning.
Now, another frequent question was asked, how do you teach kindergartners to keep their face masks on in the classroom?
I would say it's a lot of modeling and practice, right? And our K teachers will turn it into fun as well with songs and chants that go with it too.
Now, as far as lunch and recess, masks must be worn at recess too. There will be some structured mask breaks, so those kids will still be able to get some fresh air outside. When it comes to meals, students will be served in the classroom and supported by their teachers. If you do have any questions that haven't been answered yet, you can text the word school to 509-448-2000.
And we'll send you the links to the most updated information we have from schools in our area and continue taking your questions to local school officials. In the meantime, Central Valley School District is hosting a webinar for kindergarten families that starts at 6:30 p.m. tonight. How to phase in kindergartners back to in-person learning will be addressed at the meeting. Kindergartners are set to return to the classroom fully by October 7th. So to register for that meeting, head to Spokane Public Schools website. You can also text the word meeting for all the latest updates.